Friends, what's going on? Emmanuel here. I want to welcome you to my new website. It's called 3 Items We Need to Survive. Food, clean water, and clean air. I'm going to talk briefly about 2 of those items, water and clean air. First, clean water. The Rainbow Universal Cleaning System uses just that, water. All the dust, mites, bed bugs, germs, bacteria are all captured in a swirling bath of water and disposed of permanently. It's the power of water. Clean water comes out from the rainbow and it has to pass through this rainbow HEPA neutralizer. It never needs to be changed like other bags and filters. Due to the bath of water that captures all the components that are unhealthy, it's really important to get all that stuff out of your home. You're about to watch a small video clip of Dr. Torino. He's going to talk about germs and bacteria. Then 2 small clips about bed bugs and dust mites. The Rainbow Cleaning System is a must for all families. If you have any questions, if you live in Southern California, give me a call. My phone number is area code 310-525-8538. We offer a no obligation, nothing to buy, just take a look at the Universal Rainbow Cleaning System. I really hope you enjoy these presentations and these videos you're about to see, and I also hope to hear from you soon. Well, talk to you later. Bye-bye. Hey, my new friend.
Collect some dust samples from this bed.
First, they tackle the bedroom.
We can test this now and see if there's any dust mites. Next
is Janelle's 30-year-old pillows, which have never been cleaned. Mike will take the sample back to the lab and find out exactly what those stains are. You just saw Janelle's daughters exposing their mother's 30-year-old pillows. Janelle, after testing your bed, the lab found that you are living with millions of dust mites. Millions of the little critters. This is a picture of a dust mite like the one found in Janelle's mattress, which is only 4 years old. It has 8 legs, and this is what the mites look like when they're moving. Take a look.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gross.
There you go. You're not alone.
Wow.
Okay, so how did these dust mites get? Most people have these, though, right?
Most people have dust mites, but usually they're there in low numbers. Dust mites live off the skin cells that you slough off. The average person sloughs off about 1.5 million skin cells per hour during the course of the day. When you lay on your pillow or in between your sheets and move around, you're sloughing off cells that can feed these dust mites.
And so she has millions of them?
She had a very high count. In fact, the highest. She had 14 times the recommended cutoff level. And that can subject you to allergic reactions, dermatitis, and a wheezing in your lungs. You can get respiratory problems.
Asthma.
I'm surprised you don't have.
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I have a lot of breathing problems.
Oh, you
It's
do?
because of all those little critters you're breathing
well,
in there.
I didn't know that they were in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, how do you get rid of dust mites?
The way to get rid of them is to vacuum, continuously vacuum in a very high setting, sucking up your cells periodically. That will prevent the dust mites that are accumulated in your area from coming through into your face and up your nostrils.
So how does that make you feel? Will you be able to release your sentimental attachment?
Yes, I
to
have
the 30?
already. After I saw the dust mites, they're gone.
They're gone.
They're gone.
Good for you.
I vacuum probably every other day, and I just change the vacuum bags when they're full. I think overall this is a pretty clean house.
There you go. Overall, cute. Okay, Dr. Turner recommends that Gina change her vacuum cleaner bag more often. Why is that?
There is an interesting story about the vacuum cleaner. A housewife vacuuming her home, and each time she did, unknowingly, she infected her family with salmonella because she used that vacuum to clean up a food spill in the kitchen. And 3 consecutive weeks, she vacuumed in the presence of her family, and unfortunately, they got salmonella poisoning.
Because it spread every time she vacuumed.
Because it spread from the bag.
Horror movies have thrived on our nightmares about being eaten alive. But there's one animal that's never made it onto the big screen. Yet it lives in our beds and eats more of us than any other creature on Earth. Say hello to the dust mite. It's so small that you can't see it without a microscope. It's lucky the mites are so tiny, since we spend a third of our lives in bed. That means we spend a third of our lives next to 2 million dust mites that can live in our mattresses. These 8-legged scavengers are number 6 in the countdown, because every night they feast on our bodies. Dust mites eat our skin, and each day we produce an incredible number of skin cells for them to eat. In the next 5 seconds, you will lose more than 4,000 skin cells. It's perfectly natural. It's part of your body's defense system for you to shed more than 1 million dead skin cells every hour. But it means that in just one day, the amount of skin shed by the world's human population would fill a 4-story house. 80% of the dust you see floating in a sunbeam is actually flakes of dead skin. And this is food for the dust mites that live in your bed. Just like any animal, what goes in must come out. And what comes out of a dust mite is a pellet of digested skin. Each day, about 20 of these tiny pellets join the piles of dust mite carcasses and cast off skins that accumulate in your bed. So tonight, when you go to bed, take another look at your pillow. If it's more than a couple of years old, about 10% of its weight will be from dust mites and their droppings. Just imagine how many little bits of your nearest and dearest you'd be inhaling each day.
Do you think you're alone? Well, you may think you are, but in fact, you're surrounded by an invisible universe of millions of germs that turn nearly every room in your house into a virtual petri dish.
I'm a neat freak. We tend to be a little cleaner, I think, than average.
Oh, but there's more to Mike and Cindy's dwelling than meets the eye. If you could examine it under a microscope, you would find the place is literally crawling with all sorts of germs, some potentially harmful. At least that's the way this man sees their house, and he knows all about germs. Dr. Philip Tierno is head of the microbiology department at New York University Hospital. His book, The Secret Life of Germs.
There have been at least 11 outbreaks of the Norwalk virus.
Tierno says germs can be terrifying. After all, they're behind major outbreaks that can sicken and kill thousands every year. So it's natural that most people, like the Moores, worry that they'll get sick catching something in the outside world and believe their home is a safe haven. But they are wrong, says Tierno.
50 to 80% of foodborne illnesses are contracted by items that are handled in the home. 60% to 65% of all colds are contracted in the home.
In the home?
In the home.
We wanted to put Tierno's theories about germs in the house to the test, and so did the Moores. So we set up a sort of primetime germ challenge. We installed cameras to judge the Moores' daily relationship with germs, to test cleaning and hygiene.
Morning, Doctor.
Morning.
Mike.
Then came Dr. Tierno, collecting samples and more samples from the kitchen, carpets, bedding, and bathroom.
Eureka!
Well, the doctor, I mean, he'd go around and take samples, and he'd say, this is good, this is good. What he really meant, it was bad, bad.
So how did the Moores stack up? Let's start in the bedroom. Cindy is a regular vacuumer. Looks like she's doing a pretty good job, right? Wrong, says Dr. Tierno.
When I see this house, I say, this house is every bit as clean as my house, if not more clean. That rug, that carpet is vacuumed. What is the reality through your eyes?
Tierno says the proof was in the Petri dish.
What I found is in the carpeting, very large quantities of fungal spores and extraordinary large numbers of debris and cellular matter, skin cells and hairs.
All of which can contribute to allergies and asthma. And considering the state of the bedroom carpet, the doctor was pretty sure he'd find a veritable party between the sheets. A dust mite party.
In 5 to 10 years, 10% of the weight of the pillow can be dust mite debris.
Now, what grade would you give the Moore family in terms of the condition of their house?
I would give them a C. I've seen a lot of Fs, but I'd give them a C.
That's all they get is a C? That house looks pretty
And that's
clean.
generous.
Is it being generous, or are you expecting too much?
No, I'm not expecting too much. The only thing I'm expecting is the hope that people cut down on unnecessary illness.
He gave you a C. You surprised to hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Bedtime will just never be the same once you've met our next extreme bloodsucker. Crawling in to number 3 in the countdown is the bedbug. It can wait patiently in cracks and crevices for as long as 18 months until it's lured out by the irresistible smell of carbon dioxide on your breath. Their activity is usually timed to the sleeping cycle of humans, so they scurry about the bedsheets unnoticed in the dark hours of the early morning. An unfed bedbug is wafer thin, but once it's thrust its sharp proboscis into the skin, it takes little more than 5 minutes for the bloodsucker to become enormously engorged. So when you go to bed tonight, sleep tight and don't let the bedbugs bite.
Number 2.
Does your home have an uninvited guest? Look closely down in the carpet fibers, and you may find the larvae of our next contender. They won't suck your blood. They're perfectly happy feeding on lint, dead skin cells, and the dry droppings left behind by mom and dad. Eventually, it will spin a sticky cocoon that picks up dirt and debris to make a perfectly camouflaged bunker. It can lie here dormant for a year or more, waiting for a host to arrive. Then, vibrations on the floorboards signal that it's feeding time for the animal that's number 2 in the countdown. The flea has very limited eyesight. Instead, sense organs on its antenna detect movement and increased concentrations of carbon dioxide that signal that a host is nearby. Then, it's time to show why, relative to their body length, fleas are the best jumpers on the planet. A flea can jump 150 times its body length. That's like a human leaping over 700 feet. But the flea is number 2 in the countdown because its blood-sucking abilities are just as impressive. Its mouth is made up of 2 scalpel-like blades with 4 rows of teeth that stab the skin to release the flow of blood. And the flea keeps on biting long after its hunger is satisfied. It uses the excess blood to make tasty droppings for its larvae to live on in the carpet. And since the flea is feeding for its family, it can end up drinking 15 times its own weight in blood. No wonder we've looked for ways of getting the bloodthirsty flea out of our houses. And our best weapon is the vacuum cleaner.